There are plenty of reviews of entry-level or so-called cheap cinema lenses all over YouTube, which is great for people looking to invest in cinema glass. However, when it comes to looking for a summary of actual cinema lenses, which are widely rented throughout the film industry on feature films and commercials, there's a bit of a shortage of accessible information. It's important to understand that these lens sets I'm going to mention are designed to be rented out by companies and not bought by individuals. Gear rental houses produce or acquire cinema glass with the knowledge that they'll last many decades, which is why these lenses are often prohibitively expensive. In this video, I'll introduce you to a few of the most popular cinema prime lenses which are currently used on professional sets. These are all lenses I've worked with before, either as a DP or camera assistant, but I'm not a lens technician by any means, so if anyone in the comments has more information to add, that would be fantastic. I'll break down each lens set on two criteria: their ergonomics, how easy they are to practically work with, and their look, the two most important considerations if you ignore rental price when it comes to choosing which lens is right for the job. Super Speed was the unofficial name given to the T1.3 spherical prime lenses made by German manufacturer Zeiss in the 70s, 80s and 90s. A standard lens set includes an 18mm, 25mm, 35mm, 50mm and 85mm lens. There are different versions of Super Speeds depending on when they were manufactured. Today the Mark II and Mark III versions are probably most popular and available. Ergonomics wise, they are small, fast, lightweight, well-designed lenses, popular for handheld, gimbal and drone work. Yet, they are not without certain flaws. They all have a front diameter of 80mm, which makes it easy to use a single back for a clip-on matte box. One drawback is that the barrel of the lens extends when focusing. Clipping on a matte box too tightly can prevent the barrel from turning properly, making it stiff, something modern wireless focus motors sometimes struggle with. As with many older lenses, there are fewer focus distance markings than on modern ones. This means that in between distances, such as between 2 and 3 foot for example, may have no markings, making it difficult for the focus puller to know where 2'3" or 2'9" is. They're favored for their sharp, lower contrast and slightly milky characteristics when shot wide open, which is now used by many DPs to complement the sharp, modern digital sensors. The lenses have a neutral to cool color rendition, with soft, circular flares that fog up the lens with light. Films with pastel, lower contrast visuals such as Her or Lost in Translation used super speeds as the base for creating their look. Overall, these little lenses are quick to work with, great for lightweight work, with sharp yet subtle vintage characteristics, and are partially responsible for setting the standard of modern cinema lens construction. Probably the most iconic anamorphic lens set out there is the C series set from Panavision, released in 1968. Considering anamorphic lenses require housing many glass elements, C series lenses are incredibly compact and lightweight, which makes them great for anamorphic work which requires a small camera build, such as for Steadicam or handheld work. As they were designed in a time before the mainstream use of clip-on matte boxes, the front diameter of these lenses wasn't standardized across the range. This means that if you want to use a clip-on matte box now, it requires custom rings manufactured in-house by Panavision to fit each lens, and means changing out matte box backs to different sizes for different focal lengths, which slows down lens changes. The close focus on these lenses isn't amazing, meaning diopters are required to achieve focus on tight shots. The aperture on each lens is not standardized and varies slightly from T2.3 to T3.5. Focus breathing is noticeable, which is when the focal length or size of the shot shifts when the focus distance is adjusted. Despite these mechanical difficulties that comes with working with these lenses, their look is legendary. The C series range established in the 70s and 80s what is now seen as the classic Hollywood anamorphic look on films such as Star Wars for example. They are not overly sharp, have a graduated depth of field, beautiful, oval bokeh, and famous, pronounced blue streak horizontal flares. Although not the quickest or easiest for camera teams to work with, shooting on the seas gives films an iconic, vintage Panavision look which is impossible to achieve or replicate with modern glass. Moving on to modern lenses, the spherical S4s were created by Cooke in the late 90s. Unlike the Cs, they are incredibly well designed and easy to work with. They have the same t-stop of T2 to T22 across the range, good close focusing abilities, the same 110mm front diameter, many distance markings for focus, are color matched across the set, and are durable with a smooth focus motion. The newer S4Is, implemented in 2005, have the ability to store and display all kinds of metadata, such as the focal distance and aperture reading, which can be useful in facilitating VFX post-production work. There is also a large range of prime lens focal length to choose from in the set. The S4s have been used extensively on films in the 2000s and are popular for their warm look with increased contrast, minimal aberrations, and healthy reproduction of skin tones. This glass is therefore popular amongst cinematographers for its easy workability, consistency, and sharp warm look without any vintage lens aberrations. Finally, in the world of modern anamorphic lenses, there are Hawk V-Lites from Germany's Vantage. These high-performance anamorphic lenses were introduced in 2001, with the goal being to produce lightweight, consistent lenses with increased definition and contrast across the image of the 8 focal lengths. They are precisely designed to have no shift in t-stop while focusing, and an accurately calibrated focus scale with nicely spaced out distance markings, making it easier for assistants to pull focus. Their range is fairly standardized, featuring the same T2.2 to T16 stop range from the 28 to 80mm primes, which is then stepped up to T3.5 for longer focal lengths. From 40mm to 140mm, the front diameter of the lenses remains the same, although it does get larger for the wider focal lengths, which have more glass. Despite efforts to minimize distortion, straight lines still bend significantly when using wider focal lengths. They are fairly sharp anamorphic lenses with increased contrast and milky, rainbow flares. This makes the V-Lites a good choice for DPs looking for light, easy to work with glass that is sharp and modern, yet which still has all the clear trademarks of anamorphic lenses. These are just a few of the most popular lenses in circulation in the film industry today. If you find this more technical information useful and would like to see a part 2, which introduces a few more lenses, please let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to make another video in the future. As always, liking, subscribing or supporting the channel on Patreon would be a big help. So until next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.